Good afternoon and welcome to Norcal PTAC's webinar in partnership with many organizations who I'll talk with soon. This is the first part in a three-part series for Women in Construction Week. So we're very excited to kick it off with certification overview for woman-owned small businesses. My name is James Forrest. I am the program coordinator for Norcal PTAC. I'll talk about Norcal PTAC in a second, real briefly. And we're lucky to have Nancy Pigeon, who is one of our very excellent procurement specialists, who's giving the main presentation today. So before we hand things over to Nancy, I want to talk about Norcal PTAC and then some of those partners and all those logos you saw on the first couple pages. I also want to say Happy International Women's Day today. So what an apt day to kick off this series for women in construction. So we're very excited to be hosting this, and we hope everyone gets something out of it. Norcal PTAC, we are the Northern California Procurement Technical Assistance Center. It's a mouthful, we know. That's why we go by Norcal PTAC for short. We love our acronyms here in the public sphere. What we do, we are a nonprofit. We're not a government agency. We don't do any certifying, but basically what we do is we support small businesses in our service area. You can see our service area here on the right. If you have a business located in this area, then we can help you out with some of these services that I'll talk about in a second. We are administered by the Cal Poly Humboldt Sponsored Programs Foundation up in Arcata in Humboldt County. And we help everybody, all sorts of folks. As long as you have an established business, you're looking for government contracting assistance, and you're in our service area, we are happy to give you some help. So go ahead and apply on our website if you like what you hear. So in 2020 alone, we helped our clients win more than $500 million in government contracts. It's a pretty big figure, $500 million. We do this mainly with a couple different ways. We do one-on-one counseling. So we have a small team of procurement specialists, counselors that are experts in the field of government contracting. And once you apply through our website, you can schedule a meeting with one of them, sit down in a virtual meeting at this point and go over all the processes of selling your goods and services to the government. So whether it's a city government, a county, state, tribal, federal, you name it, any branch of government, it's something we can help with. So, and it's really cradle to grave. You know, we can help you do marketplace research, get your certifications all the way towards compliance and things like that. We can also help you with a custom bid matching profile. That's kind of neat. It gathers all these opportunities and sends them to you every day in your inbox, so you can bid on them right away. That's pretty neat. And then you don't need to be a client for this. This is just something we do all the time. As you can see today, put on resources and trainings for the public. So everyone is available. Everyone is invited to join these, no matter where you are in the world. So some of the folks we have in Southern California and other places. Just a note that while we're pitching Norcal PTAC, for those folks who are not in this green map here, you're somewhere else, another state or a different part of California, there's about 100 PTACs across the country, including 7 in California alone. So there's that second link there, find your local PTAC, aptac-us.org/find a PTAC. That will be your resource for looking up your state, and then it'll have you can search for your county, and then you'll find your county down there and reach out to your local PTAC. We all provide the basic same core services. There's differences. We're all independently owned and operated, not owned, independently administered. So go ahead and do some research, find your local PTAC. We are here to help. It's always free. So that's what we do. We help folks with government contracting. And we are very lucky to be partnering with a couple folks for this webinar. As I've mentioned, Darlene Neal is here today, representing the A New America Women's Business Center. They are in Oakland, it's the Oakland branch, and they provide training, counseling, and other support services to help women entrepreneurs start and successfully grow their businesses. And the center is open to everybody. Just a comment that there's over 100 educational centers, which are part of the WBC network across the US. So again, if you're not in this region, please do look up your own local center, and they all share the goal of leveling the playing field for women entrepreneurs. So Darlene Neal, thanks for partnering on helping making this possible. Our next partner is the WBEC. That's the Women's Business Enterprise Council of Pacific Region. And the WeBank certification is something that they've been doing for quite some time. It's a great opportunity. It is something you pay for, unlike a lot of these services, but it really may be worth it for your business. It's a pathway to new business opportunities. It gives you access to supplier diversity and procurement executives. If there's formal and informal opportunities to pursue business with corporate and government members, along with other WeBank certified WBEs, gives you access to networking events, programs, eligibility for regional and national awards and recognition, and it allows you to use the women-owned logo in Women Business Enterprise Sales and Marketing Tool. That WBE icon is really nice. And it can make some certifications easier, which I think Nancy may be talking about today. So WeBank is great as well. The Alameda Contractor Technical Assistance Program, administered through Merriweather and Williams Insurance. They are also great. This is a free service. If you're a small, diverse contractor in Alameda County, they can help provide technical assistance training and help with obtaining and increasing their bonding capacity for work on Alameda County projects. So if this is something that sounds like it would suit you, please get in contact with Carol Henry there. That's the CTAP program. I know there's PTAC and CTAP, and if anyone's head spinning, I don't blame you. But you'll all get these slides later. You can review these. But this is another free service if you're in Alameda County, if you're looking for business in Alameda County. And we have the NAWIC, that's the National Association of Women in Construction. This is the San Francisco branch. They've been around for a very long time, more than a half a century. And they are focused on developing tomorrow's leaders in women business. So in addition to networking, their primary focus is on education and membership. There's monthly meetings. They're posted online. Please do get in contact with Megan O'Halloran if you're interested for more on the chapter. So you have this slide for later. And I'm not going to read all of this out, but NABO is the National Association of Women Business Owners. This is the San Francisco Bay Area chapter. Another great partner for this organization has helped us promote and put this thing on. They are an organization representing and supporting the needs of more than 117,000 women business owners of the Bay Area. So that is quite a big organization. They're the go-to resource for community education, inspiration, political advocacy, partnerships, networking for women. So they have a lot of great services that they offer. Provide access for members to decision makers, people of influence, business opportunities, connections with other organizations. We're very thankful to have NABO on board. And that is it for our great partners. It is 10 minutes past the hour, so I want to be respectful of your time and hand things over to Nancy Pigeon. Nancy is a procurement specialist here with Norcal PTAC, one of the folks that is really in the trenches helping out small businesses and helping them succeed. So I'll allow Nancy to talk a little bit about her biography before we get started, but thanks everyone. I just want a lot of housekeeping note. I just want to note that if you have any questions about the presentation, as soon as they come in your head, please put them in the Q&A and try to phrase them in such a way that it's most beneficial for everyone. So a good general question that everyone in the audience might find useful. And we'll have some time at the very end of the presentation to go over them. So thanks so much, and take it away, Nancy.
Okay, thanks, James. Yeah, happy International Women's Day, everyone. It's been a great couple of years for women, and hopefully it's going to continue. Seeing a lot more women coming into business, so that's great. And then you saw all of our sponsors, great resources. So make note of those and get in contact with them. Lots of great resources for women out there these days. So take advantage of them. They're usually free. So it just as Norcal PTAC is, take advantage of them. Now talk a little bit about me. I will say I had a COVID cold. So I had a cold and then I took a test and it was COVID. I'm getting over it. So I have a bit of a scratchy voice, but I have a throat lozenge and some plenty of water here. So hopefully I'll get through it. So a little bit about me. I'm retired military from the Air Force, 22 years in that, and I did 12 years in contracting. When I retired, I went into the federal government, Air Force civilian. So I kind of retired and went back to the same place I was working. Procurement analyst for 2 years, basically reviewing contracts that were going to get awarded. Moved out to California, the Veterans Affairs. I was a training officer, training contracting officer representatives. And I did some buying there as well during the end of the year when things got busy. Then I moved on to the Bureau of Reclamation, also in Sacramento area. I was a contracting officer, and I actually was the contracting officer for Shasta Dam for about 3 years. And then the small business specialist opportunity opened up, so I did that. So the last year, I worked with small businesses trying to get into the Bureau of Reclamation, a lot of environmental folks and things like that. So I do work with a lot of environmental people at the PTAC too. So if you're environmental and you want to get into contracting, sign up and hopefully I can help you out. So I've been a PTAC counselor for about 3 years, a little short of 3 years. Of course, my specialty is federal contracting, but over the years I have learned the California state contracting. So I'm pretty good at both of them. I seem to be the WSB, the Women-Owned Small Business Certification expert right now. I've been doing these presentations for about 2 years now, I think. But I especially enjoy the one-on-one counseling. So, you know, join up, join your PTAC, our PTAC, and get that one-on-one counseling. And, you know, it can only improve what you're doing to start up your business and get going. Okay, let's see. We're going to talk disclosure, but when that comes up, there we go. I'm going to have James put up a poll for you while I read my disclosure statement. So James, if you want to put that up. Okay, I was looking on the wrong screen. So the information that I am talking about herein is accurate to the best of my ability. So I've updated statistics and any of the provisions or anything that's required to have in there for you to take a look at. So it's good right now. It may have changed, or it may change in the future with the current administration or without prior notice. So if you're listening to this in the future, just make sure you check any information that might be dated that you are going to rely on. Okay. Did we get a good result there on that poll, James?
Yeah, last chance. Anyone wants to click to respond?
That's another, yeah, I'll give you another second or so to, just curious of where everybody's standing right now. So can kind of pick some certain things to hit on or.
Perfect. Okay, we have 65%. Oh, that number's going up.
Are you
okay?
posting?
Let's go ahead and close it.
Oh, okay. I'm like, where's the results? I didn't see them.
Here we go. I'll share the results right now.
Okay, there we go. Okay, a lot of working on it. Okay, good. Working on it and none. That's good. Okay, and then we have some experts in WSB, DBE, WBE. So good. Okay, that's a good spread. Yeah, the none and working on it or none and working on it is good. So okay, let's get into we've got a lot to go through. So, and I want to have time for questions. So let's get going. I'll just go ahead and click all these through. One more. There we go. Okay, so probably the most important thing is going to be the first thing on the agenda or why our government certification is valuable. I have women in contracting there because that's what what my focus was. I was focusing on women who have construction type businesses. If you have something else, you know, just it's the same thing for you. And then we'll get into the federal program, the WSB certification, and the EDWSB, the economically disadvantaged. We call them WASB. That's how you say that acronym. Then we'll get into the disadvantaged business entity, and that's a kind of state federal type of certification. And then we'll talk about the California Public Utilities Commission, the WBE certification, and that's for working with the public utilities and getting into their program for bidding on their items. So let's see. Okay, so I'm calling this my bottom line up front, military, called the bluff. So I wanted to put it straight up front why our certification is valuable to women in construction. So if you walk away not remembering anything else, you know, remember this slide, the reason why you want to get certified. So government agencies are mandated to award to small businesses. So that's number one. There's a lot of opportunity out there. I'm going to put this up. Mostly I have federal government statistics because they are easy to find. So the federal government annual is 23% to all small businesses. We'll talk about women-owned when we get to that slide. So in FY 2021, they met their goal and they exceeded it to 25.55. The federal government purchases over $6 billion in goods. Actually, in 2021, it was $476 billion. And the cut of that for all small businesses was $122 billion. Okay. And then the next thing is it helps set your company apart in the marketplace and adds credibility. Since you have to go through a certification process, the government and even prime businesses knows that you have credibility because you had to pass a rigorous credentialing process. It increases your access to government contracting opportunities. For the women-owned, there are women-owned small business set-asides. And you would even qualify as a small business. So for those set-asides, it provides you with more contracting opportunities than without. One of the biggest ones, prime contractors, for subcontracts, they have to subcontract a large portion of their work to small businesses because they are passed along the goal from the government. So that's another good reason to get certified, especially if you're starting out and doing a lot of subcontracting work just to get going within the government until you can become a prime contractor. And then there's an increased opportunity to network with a certificate. You can go to networking opportunities. You can go to pre-bid conferences, kind of network yourself as a woman-owned small business to some of those primes who may be looking for it for their goals. You can talk to them one-on-one. It's a great opportunity. And then the last one is you'll be eligible for mentor protege opportunities. And this is with the federal government has a mentor protege, and also Caltrans has a mentor protege. So these are kind of my takeaways for the whole thing. If you're thinking about getting certification, these are the main reasons to get certified. So the first one we're going to talk about is the WASB and the ED WASB, economically disadvantaged. And oops. Okay, so this is going to be the main, another theme running through here. All of these programs are for giving equal opportunity to participate in, federal contracting, the transportation contracting, and then in the public utilities. So all of these certifications have that in common. So the benefits, any woman can apply. You get a nice little SBA, WSB emblem you can put on your website or your capability statement. And I will also say, one thing. I always get asked if sole proprietors can apply, and they can. Sometimes we get talking a lot about partnerships and LLCs and kind of the sole proprietors are what about me? But any woman can apply for the WSB. However, for the set-aside contracts, they're only for specific NAICS codes. And if you don't know what NAICS codes are, they're the North American industry codes. This is how everything is determined. When a contracting officer is doing a solicitation, they'll determine what NAICS code best fits what they're doing, and they'll assign that NAICS code. And so when you are registering in SAM, you'll need to make sure you have all your NAICS code for everything that your business does, all the categories it applies to. It is also how the SBA determines whether you're a small business or not. And that usually goes by the number of employees or your total receipts, your annual average receipts over the years. But if you're starting out, you're usually going to be a small business. You don't tend to worry too much about your small business size until you start adding more employees or adding more revenue. I did provide you a link here if you want to go look at which NAICS codes qualify for the WSB or the EDWSB. And on the next slide, I took out all the construction ones and put them in one slide, since that was our topic, was women in construction, and we'll look at that in a minute. So set aside contracts, but only for specific NAICS codes. Then they do, they say sole source contracts, but I always call this, I did a little unicorn. This is like the unicorn in contracting to get a sole source contract. And again, that's for special NAICS. And usually the requirement of the sole source contract is that for women-owned small business, it is that no other woman-owned small business is able to compete for it. Usually they're not going to set aside sole source for a woman-owned small business. They'll go ahead and open it up to small businesses. It's not a thing that a contracting officer wants to go through all of the requirements and justification to do a sole source contract. If there are small businesses that can provide it, then they're just going to go and open it up to small businesses. Usually sole source is if you're brand new on the scene with a brand new technology and you're the only one that has it, then they will go through that process of getting that justification. So just a note about sole source contracts there. And then again, we're hitting on, I kind of highlighted these ones were subcontracting preferences with prime. So again, that's one of the reasons to get certified is you can get a preference with primes on your subcontracting for federal contracts. Let's see. Okay, so here's that list I promised for. As you can see, construction has a lot of NAICS for the WASB program. And of course, the women-owned program is to help women who, the NAICS specific WASB are for women who are in male-dominated fields. So as you know, construction is pretty male-dominated. And so here you can look and see if you're, I'm sure if you're in construction, it's probably going to be on here in one way or another. And I just want to state, because I'm going to talk about EDWSB, but if you notice, if you look in the column here, WSB, there are no EDWSB in construction NAICS. So therefore, I just tell people to go ahead and just apply for the WSB and forget about the EDWSB because there's a lot more you have to provide for the EDWSB, all your financial documents and spouses documents and things like that. So if your NAICS just says WSB and does not say EDWSB, then just apply for the WSB. Let's see. Okay, goal requirements. I'm just going to pop these up here real quick. Sorry, I need to get a little drink, getting dry. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so we were talking about the SBA goal. It's usually 5% for federal contracts, and here's some of the historical. They haven't met it lately. I think the last time they met it was either in FY18 or FY19, that's fiscal year. So you can see, and they're running a little behind, especially and in dollars too this year, but that's for other reasons, continuing resolution and just the economy these days. So program requirements. Okay, we're going to go through these. Here are the program requirements. Must be a small business, and this link will take you to the size standards that I talked about earlier, whether you're employees or the dollar amount you make. But like I said, if you're just starting out, you're pretty much going to be a small business unless you're a startup business with 1,000 employees. You have to be 51% unconditionally owned and controlled by women who are U.S. citizens. So unconditionally owned and controlled, unconditionally means no one else can take the business away from you. And this has to be documented in your LLC documents or your partnership documents. And then controlled, you have to control the day-to-day. You can't give that up to someone else to control the day-to-day. The 51% woman has to control the business. This is pretty standard for all these certifications. And you have to manage the day-to-day operations. I think I already said that. And make the long-term decisions. You have to sign the contracts and all of that. Can't just be a figurehead, basically. For the EDWSB, you have to meet all the requirements of the women's contracting program, be owned and controlled by one or more women, each who have a personal net worth less than 750,000, with 350,000 or less and adjusted gross income over the previous 3 years, and with 6 million or less in personal assets. So those are the basic program requirements for the WSB and the EDWSB. How to apply? You have to have a DUNS number, and if you have to already be registered in SAM. Oops, there we go. Okay, that's fine. I have UEI on here. If you see that, after April 4th, the DUNS number is going to replace by the UEI, the SAM UEI. If you're already registered in SAM, you already have a SAM UEI, you can just log in and get that number. If you're going to register in SAM, maybe after we get off here today, you're going to sign up for PTAC and we're going to help you get SAM. You'll be assigned a UEI. And then as of July 20th, 2020, yes, it's already been 2 years, hard to believe, you can no longer self-certify. You either have to go through the SBA certification site, and I have that as free here, or you can certify through a third party, and let me put that list up. One of them was one of our sponsors today, the WeBank. And they do, the third party certifiers do charge a fee, and it's usually based on your profit, how much money your company is making. I have a client that's currently going through WeBank, and because of her, she's just starting out, so she's going through, and it's $300. And that's probably pretty good. If you have the money and you want to spend it, not to go through the hassle of the SBA certification site, we totally understand that. But if you need to do it free, please come to a PTAC or someone else that can help you get through that certification site, because it is it's a real bugger to get through, and the time is crazy to get that certification. So either way, you can talk to Norcal PTAC and get advice on that. Oh, and just one note: if you do if you go through the nonprofits, you still have to go through the SBA site, but it's a lot easier. You just do like 2 pages, you upload your certification from the third party, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to go through the whole thing. And it goes a lot quicker. This is where you go. This is hyperlinked. This graphic is hyperlinked. I'll take you right to that. You see the orange arrow, go to the knowledge base, download the external checklist for the required documents, and then also download the user guide. It shows you step-by-step how to go through the system. But again, if you're gonna do it online, I recommend you get someone who's knowledgeable in that system to walk you through. And we can do that at Norcal PTAC, or any PTAC can help you. And we're happy to do that. I do have a recorded webinar I did in November when we had another women-owned business week. And so I walk through how to do that. I kind of use that guide and we walk through it. So if you want to look at that, there's the link right there. You can go look at that webinar. Okay, let's talk DBE. Okay, and again, DBE is certification for transportation. It's a federal transportation contracts that are done in California. So you will get certified through some California transportation agency when you apply for it. And it's for use on anything that's federally funded within the state of California, any of the projects. They're required to set things aside. So when you become a DBE firm, that's the reason for it. And again, that's what I said here. You can compete fairly for federally funded transportation related projects. Ensures the non-discrimination and award and administration of, and I think I got a little graphic here. So that includes any of the transit authorities, the highway authorities, highway administration, so Caltrans, and then any of the aviation, so airports, any of the transit districts, and Caltrans or any other highway agencies that might be here in California. Okay, the certification also ensures the DBE program is in accordance with applicable law. And lastly, ensures that only firms that meet eligibility standards are permitted. So you do have to go through a bit of a process for this. You do have to give some financials, and they also do a site visit. So a little more involved than the WASB or the ED-WASB program. Okay, benefits for certification. And again, some of these are exactly what we talked about before. I'm just gonna roll them out here. So recognized by 600 local agencies. So that's transit authorities, airports, Caltrans. Expands the opportunities for federally funded projects to DBE certified companies. Become accessible to prime contractors. Again, that's a running theme through all of these certifications. You do get listed in the DBE database, which prime contractors can go to and find you for any work. And then we talk again about that increased opportunities to network. And I'm also going to throw in eligible for mentor protege opportunities. So I just want to talk really quick about one of my clients. She got her DBE certification. She looked up pre-bid opportunities, and she went to them and started networking with primes. And she's already gotten a lot of response from that. She does traffic control. So that's pretty much a sub to prime contracting. That's not really a prime contract that gets done. So she's had a lot of response from that. And she also signed up for the Caltrans Mentor Protege program, and she was selected, and she's just waiting to get paired up with her mentor. So a lot of good came out of her process with that. So, but you have to go and get it. You know, it's not just going to be handed to you. So once you get that certification, you got to get out there and market yourself. Okay, let's run through the requirements. Has to be a disadvantaged owner, meet the federal definition of socially and economically disadvantaged. And of course, the presumptive group, I just highlighted women since this is a women's certification, but if you happen to be any of these other, that's fine too, or any of your friends that aren't women that want to get DBE, you can tell them about this program. Also, if you're not one of the presumptive groups, but you are socially and economically disadvantaged, they do those on a case-by-case basis. So if you can prove your social and economic disadvantage, you may be able to get the certification as well. And here again, we got that 51%, so 51% owned. So if you're a woman, you'll have to own 51% of the business. And then the 51% owner has to possess the license or the credentials in order to run that firm. So if you're, you know, an A&E firm, you know, you need to have that license and that. Then the majority owner must not exceed the personal net worth of 1.32 million. And again, you have to provide your financials for this certification. So just be aware of that. Only an independent business may be certified as a DBE. And so just make sure, especially if you're a corporation, because they're going to ask for your shareholders and things like that. I just had someone who tried to get a California certification, and when they listed out their shareholders, some of them were businesses and some funding places, and so they were rejected because they're not independently owned. So make sure you're independently owned. If you have any other firms that have shares in your business, then you're probably not independently owned. The 3-year average gross receipts cannot exceed 26.29 million, but it's supposed to go up to a 5-year average soon. So that may be helpful to some folks out there to do a 5-year average instead of a 3-year average. And then how to apply for the DBE. They do have a brand new system that you can do it all online, which is really nice. So just click on the apply for renew, or you can, they do have some training if you want to take some training. But again, we can help you with this certification. We have good, our good counselor, Liz Brazil. And she did do a webinar in October when we did that Women's Month. So go ahead and take a look at that. And then if you still want help, go ahead and sign up at Norcal PTAC if you're in our area. And Liz can give you a hand in determining your eligibility and helping you through that application system. Okay, let's talk Women Business Enterprise Certification. Okay, and this one's with the, well, let me just bring this stuff up first. Okay, so in May 1988, the California Public Utilities Commission, which is the electric, gas, water, and telecommunication companies, and they have, it applies to if they're in excess of 25 million, that they have to implement a program to increase the utilization of women, minorities, disabled veterans, and LGBT business entities. In order to take all this on, they developed the Supplier Clearinghouse, which manages the program. So it does the certification and manages it. And the last note here, actually for the DVBE, the disabled veteran, that is processed through the state certification, and then they're just automatically added to the database. So there's not a separate application if you're a disabled veteran. You'll just automatically be added. So we're going to talk about, well, we're going to talk about the women, but the minority and the LGBT is kind of thrown in here too. But okay, benefits certification, and again, this is the same thing over and over again. The things I want to get through you the most is the majority of the companies need to seek doing business with small businesses, the woman-owned and the minority-owned. So that's one of the benefits of getting their certificate. You do get placed in a database, just like the DBE certification. So all the utilities can look up and see what companies they want to work with if they have a solicitation or an opportunity coming up. And again, large business government agencies have the initiatives and programs, so they have percents that they have to award each year. And again, your certification, since you've gone through the process, they know that they're dealing with genuine companies because you've gone through all that credentialing. And however, certifications don't guarantee receiving a contract. So this is, as with any certification, there's no guarantee to receiving a contract. You're just getting certified so that you can market yourself and go out and find those opportunities. Just because you get a certification doesn't mean contracts are going to land in your lap. I do have clients, that have thought that in the past. It does take a lot of work. Certification is just the first part. It gets into that networking and finding opportunities and, going out there and getting it. And then here's the goals for CPUC. So it's 15% for minority-owned businesses, 5% for women-owned businesses, and then 1.5 for the service disabled. And they have yet to set the LGBT. So if you happen to be a woman and a minority, you can apply for both. So sometimes you probably want to do the minority, try to get the minority because that's 15% procurement goal. But I would apply for both. You can apply for more than one. And then this, I went ahead and copied this from their site. These are all the utilities that participate because they're over that 25 million mark. So if there's something on here, like if you work a lot in water, maybe you're in environmental, you could reach out to some of these water companies and see if they have any opportunities coming up. It's all about networking. So, and let's see. Okay, just a little bit about the Supplier Clearinghouse. I think we've talked about most of this, so I'm just going to click it out here. So the last thing, I saw the other day that they have a bid board. There was actually one. There was one out there, and that was the one I talked to my my client about that had the traffic signals. So if you sign up for Supplier Clearinghouse and you are on there, their site and their database. Make sure you check the bid board too. Looks like there might be a lot of subcontracting opportunities. You can get a hold of the prime contractor to see if you can bid on that. And there might be some pre-bid opportunities to go and network at as well. Okay, the requirements. Again, this is that 51% unconditionally owned and controlled, a US resident, and including the permanent resident aliens. So as you saw, there's a theme all the way through. It's 51% unconditionally owned and controlled. Nobody should be able to take the business away from you. For the partnership, again, that's the 51%. If you're in a partnership with someone, maybe a male, you have to have that 51%. And then the corporation, and this is the one I talked about earlier as well. So you have to have 51% of the voting stock and 51% of the all outstanding shares have to be owned by the minorities, the women, or the LGBT individual. And again, don't have any business owned stocks or any funding companies own your stock, because then you're not independently owned, which is the last one coming up here. So kind of a main theme going through all of these is that 51% and independently owned, and no one can take your business away, all that. So this is the website for applying for the WBE. You can click on the certification to apply, just read all the information. The system will guide you through. They do require financial information, and it also stated they may come and do a visit just like the DBE. They do have a training link where they offer training. And there's this bid board, view the bid board there. So that's, oh, I do have a note. The process takes approximately 45 to 90 days, it says. They'll ask you for any missing documents. And then it says they may do an on-site visit or not. They may just do a comprehensive telephone call. So that was the note I have on the WBE. So are you ready? So we're gonna sum things up here so we can jump into some questions. And basically my summary are, again, those beginning slides. So if you don't take anything else away, and I know I went through those really quick since we only have an hour for this, but I just want to say I want to go through these, the summary, which is the same as the beginning slide. So take this away. If you're interested in doing any of these, go take a look at the websites that are in the slides. You're going to get the slides. Click on them, go take a look. If you're interested, go ahead and sign up for Norcal PTAC or whatever your local PTAC is, and let us help you through this. That way you don't get frustrated about what to do. And we can help you determine what's right for you, because starting up a business and getting going, there's a lot of frustration, especially if you're a single member trying to get things going. So that's my pitch for working with a PTAC. We're free, and we'd be very happy to help you. So again, the certification summary, the takeaway for it all. Just remember, government agencies are mandated to award contracts to certified small businesses. So that's number one, a good thing to get certified. Number two, it helps set your company apart in the marketplace and adds credibility. You can add all your logos and badges, wear them proudly, because you went through a lot to get those credentials and that certification. So make sure you market it and put it out there. Increased access to government contracting opportunities. Again, there's the set-asides if you happen to be in the NAICS for the federal contracts. And then again, a lot of subcontracting opportunities with a DBE and the WBE or the CPUC certification. Again, prime contractor, subcontract, I already mentioned that. Make sure you get out there and network with them, go to those pre-bid conferences, get out there and find out who the prime contractors are. And you can usually find that out either on the CPU site, the bid site, or there's also the Caltrans Contractors Corner, where they list their advertisements the primes do. You can find out when the pre-bids are and get your name out there and get talking with those primes, just like my other client did. And then the last one, of course, is the mentor protege. The federal government has a mentor protege, Caltrans has a mentor protege. So, take advantage of all these things. So there you have it, the reason to try to get your certification, how it's going to help you through the process. And so let's see, 3:48. So do we want to do like 5 minutes of questions, James, so then we can do the poll and see what's coming up next?
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and do the poll and what's coming up next first, and then we can
Okay.
do questions.
Sounds good.
So let's just
Are
advance.
you taking over? Okay.
I'll go ahead and release the poll, release the beast here. Launch. Okay, so you'll see a poll coming up here. Nancy and I are curious. Feel free to enter your answer here. The more participants, the better. We get a response through.
I guess we should have put yes, all three on there.
Yeah, but
I didn't think
one
about
or the two of that. Yeah. People can click all three.
Best laid plans. Okay.
2 extra clicks, because then you have to have yes 2 out of 3, but which ones are I made it so you could just multiple click. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to talk about what's coming up?
Sure. Yes. So as we mentioned in the beginning, this is a 3-part series. It's the first. We're kicking it off. It's Women in Construction Week series. Session 2 is tomorrow. They're all back to back, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So tomorrow is going to be about how to find bid opportunities in the construction field. And we're going to be going over that for the first hour of the webinar, but it's an 1.5 hour webinar. And in the last half hour, we're going to hear from speakers from Business Outreach Committee in the San Francisco Bay Area, Alameda County Transit, Golden Gate Transit, Metropolitan Transportation Commission, Caltrans District 4, Valley Transportation Authority, San Francisco County Transportation Authority. They're going to talk about upcoming bids and how to do business with them. So that's going to be really great. Again, these are all free. All of our events are free. We have something very special on Thursday morning at 10. It doesn't say that here, but it's Thursday morning at 10. That's the 10th at 10 a.m. We're going to have a panel of successful women-owned construction firms. They're going to talk about their triumphs and their challenges that are unique to being a woman in the construction industry. So we've gathered together some really excellent panelists here who will share their stories with you. So we hope that you join for that as well, that hour-long event at 10 a.m. on Thursday. So let's take a look. Let's end this poll. Last chance to participate. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll go ahead and share. Looks like most folks are interested in the WOSB.
Okay.
Some folk, not the DBE, not so popular, but it's also a more restrictive certification.
Yeah, it is. I thought it'd be more popular with those in construction.
Right.
So, but again, I know I had to go through that really fast. It was a lot of information. So go ahead and take a look at the websites, like I said, and then get with your PTAC and go over the options and learn more about it. Like I said, this was just an overview. So
right. Some of you asked, what can I do next? Where can I find this? Networking. How can I get Nancy as a mentor? The question to all of that is to just apply for your local PTAC. And so if you're in our service area, that would be us. And you can request Nancy here.
Yay.
So,
love to help you.
Okay, so we do have a good number. We do have a good number of questions here. Well, let's thank you.
Okay.
Let me go back to questions.
Got about.
All right, we have some good questions here. Francis is asking, as I understand, companies have to allow a certain number of DBEs to bid, but is there a certain amount that has to be awarded to DBEs?
Yes, thank you for that. They do have, so each of the, like the transportation and the highway and they all have separate requirements. And I did try to find the most recent, but just because they're all spread out, there was like no place where it's consolidated for me to get those statistics. I did ask Liz Brazil, who is our DBE person, and she said that they haven't really made their goals in the last probably 4 or 5 years. If you want to look at Liz's, I put the link for Liz's webinar that she did. If you want to take a look at that, go ahead and look at that. And then if you want to sign up and get Liz as your counselor, she can go through that too. But there are requirements and certain amounts that need to be awarded. So yeah, I just couldn't find the statistics on that.
Mm-hmm. There's something about a 10% goal, but there's no requirement.
Yeah.
That's kind of, they use it as a.
Trust me, I tried to search for the stats and I know where to find the federal ones, but I could not find these for the life of me. And I even asked Liz, and she said they're not consolidated in one place anymore. So,
right.
How long does the SBA to complete?
Right, that's a good question.
So
let me just read it aloud real quick. How long is it taking the SBA to finish approving EDWSB or WSB certification? So.
Yeah, so I mean, this started 2 years ago and they still don't have the system worked out. I guess I'm going to say it depends. It depends on if all of your documents are correct. They say it's 90 days if you have the correct documents, but it doesn't seem like anybody can submit the correct documents. And they look up to a point and then they just send it back to you and you have to start the application over again. So I'm going to say the party line is 90 days once they receive a complete package. That's what I'm going to go with. And if you want to check out WeBank and some of those other places, I wouldn't blame you for doing that.
A very political answer.
Yes. I'm trying to be. If you already have a DUNS number, oh, I'm sorry, James. I always forget you have.
I'll just read it aloud so everyone.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Does the DUNS number automatically switch to a UEI?
Yes, if you already have a DUNS number and you're already registered in SAM, now you have to already be registered in SAM. If you log into your SAM account, your SAM UEI will already be there in your details. And then you can just copy and paste that and have it available for when the switch happens. If you're not registered in SAM, when you go to register in SAM with your DUNS number before April 4th, the first thing that happens is you register to get a UEI and you get it automatically when you register.
Great.
What is pre-bidding?
What is pre-bidding?
Okay.
You mentioned a pre-bid conference.
Yeah, pre-bid conference. These happen a lot in construction. They will put up a solicitation and they'll say we're having a pre-bid conference or a site visit or some wording like that, where they'll have a meeting prior to the bidding coming in, where you can meet with the government and maybe go on a site visit to look at everything before you do your bid. A lot of time primes will go to that. So that's why I said, go to those pre-bid conferences. And since it was construction, I was using pre-bid. So go to those conferences, see who signs in, talk to those primes. And usually if you can't make it, they will post who attended the pre-bid conference and you can get the names from that, whoever the primes are. But sometimes it's nice to go in person just to network. All
right, let's see what we have here. We have a question about the DBE qualifications. How do they determine ethnicity? So if someone's 25% Hispanic, do you know anything about that? How they break those down?
As long as you recognize or what I want to say. A lot of times it's on your birth certificate if your parents are Hispanic, or if you are in one of those minority communities. That's really all you need. It's not like a percentage, like I'm only, I'm just a quarter Hispanic. If you consider yourself Hispanic and you have your birth certificate or some other way of recognizing that you're Hispanic, then it shouldn't be a problem. You should be a minority. I do know sometimes though in the past where they've had Hispanic parents listed as Caucasian. So that's something to something to discuss at another time.
Okay, and we have someone that's basically looking as a prime. They're wondering, sorry, as a subcontractor, they're wondering where do we find who the primes are? Is in the construction field. So
okay, yeah, no, I was just reading the whole. So I kind of went over that for the DBE. Again, this would be going to those pre-bid conferences and seeing who the primes are that sign in, or either that are getting the list for the projects and the primes that have signed in and plan to bid. You can also look on Caltrans. It's called the Contractor's Corner. You can type in Caltrans Contractor's Corner and it puts up all of their ads. They call them ads for projects they have coming up, and I mean opportunity. I think it's opportunities. And then under those, there's usually ads, and a lot of times the primes will put an ad on there saying if you're interested in helping us bid on this, contact us or send us your. Sometimes they'll have a form for you to fill out. Sometimes they'll just have contact info. So those are several places you can look for primes and construction.
Okay, and do you need to be in business? I would say this is the last question here. Do you need to be in business for a certain amount of time to be able to apply for the WOSB?
Well, again, I'm going to say it depends. As long as you're full-time into the business, because I had that little caveat that you have to be full-time in your business. You can't work at another business and only work part-time in the business that you're trying to open. It has to be full-time working in that business in order to apply for the WSB. So a certain amount of time, I'm going to say, as long as you're working full-time in the business, you're up and running. I mean, it's not like a 3-year mark or a 2-year mark, and you have to have income or things like that. Especially for the WSB, because you're not going to give your financials on that. So just as long as you're devoted full-time to the company, you should be okay. But again, talk to a counselor about that.
Okay, I just want to, thank you, Nancy. I just want to apologize. It looks like I accidentally made it. It did make it single choice. I could have sworn I made it for that outro poll. So that did skew the
Oh, okay. Bit, well,
but, all right.
Yeah, I know we have to go, but
maybe I didn't hit save.
Okay.
Well, we have a lot of folk. I'm seeing there's 20 something messages in the chat. We haven't been monitoring the chat for the Q&A. We're using the Q&A tab, but we still have 8 questions left in the Q&A. We are out of time, but please, a couple key takeaways are you will get the slides. They'll be emailed to everyone who registered. The slides and the video recording that we're doing right now will be posted to our website and mailed to everyone later today. Probably tomorrow. So that's a key takeaway. PTACs are all across the country. There's about 100 centers. You don't just have to be in California to work with the PTAC, but you do have to be in California in our service area to work with us specifically. We are just one of 100 PTAC centers. So if you'd like to work with someone else, another PTAC, I've in a number of places in the chat, I've dropped a link where you can find your local PTAC. I've also dropped our own link where you'll see the slides posted, or service area. You can also apply to be a client with us. It doesn't cost anything. So there's a ton of questions on that. And yeah, that should be it. When you leave the webinar today, you'll be redirected towards a page that has a survey on it. It just takes like 2 minutes. You can do it anonymously just to let us know how you felt about today's webinar. We genuinely want to keep improving our services. Yeah, Nancy's big on that. If I don't send it to her, she asks for it. She wants to know. She wants the feedback. Please let us know what you thought. We love to hear from our audience, and it makes a big difference for our funders too. So if you have any other questions for PTAC, please reach out to me. You've had our contact information on this slide for a while. And on the footer slides, and we'll see if we can get you an answer. And if you need any help, well, us and all of our partners from today would be very happy to help you with any of the things we talked about today. So thanks, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 3 p.m. for the second part in the series, and then the following one is at 10 a.m. on Thursday. Thanks again to Nancy for gathering all this information and putting in the hard work.
Thank you all very much, and I hope to see some of you as clients soon.
All right. Absolutely. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.